Well, good morning and welcome back to our read through the book of Acts using our Lectio Divina Prayer Bible. And we are in Acts chapter 14 this morning, moving right along. We're going to read verses 1 through 20, and this is in the Common English Bible version. The same thing happened in Iconium. Paul and Barnabas entered the Jewish synagogue and spoke as they had before. As a result, a huge number of Jews and Greeks believed. However, the Jews who rejected the faith stirred up the Gentiles, poisoning their minds against their brothers. Nevertheless, Paul and Barnabas stayed there for quite some time, confidently speaking about the Lord. And the Lord confirmed the word about his grace by the signs and wonders he enabled them to perform. The people of the city were divided, some siding with the Jews, others with the Lord's messengers. Then some Gentiles and Jews, including their leaders, hatched a plot to mistreat and stone Paul and Barnabas. When they learned of it, these two messengers fled to the Lycaonian cities of Lystra and Derbe and the surrounding area, where they continued to proclaim the good news. In Lystra, there was a certain man who lacked strength in his legs. He had been crippled since birth and had never walked. Sitting there, he heard Paul speaking. Paul stared at him and saw that he believed and he could be healed. Raising his voice, Paul said, "Stand up straight on your feet." The man jumped up and began to walk. Seeing what Paul had done, the crowd shouted, "The gods have taken human form and come down to visit us." They referred to Barnabas as Zeus and to Paul as Hermes, since Paul was the main speaker. The priest of Zeus, whose temple was located just outside the city, brought bulls and wreaths to the city gates. Along with the crowds, he wanted to offer sacrifices to them. When the Lord's messengers, Paul and Barnabas, found out about this, they tore their clothes in protest and rushed out into the crowd. They shouted, "People, what are you doing? We are humans too, just like you. We are proclaiming the good news to you. Turn to the living God and away from such worthless things. God made the heaven, the earth, the sea, and everything in them. In the past, he permitted every nation to go its own way. Nevertheless, God hasn't left himself without a witness. God has blessed you by giving you rain from above, as well as seasonal harvest, and satisfying you with food and happiness." Even with these words, they barely kept the crowds from sacrificing to them. Jews from Antioch and Iconium arrived and won the crowds over. They stoned Paul and dragged him out of the city, supposing he was dead. When the disciples surrounded him, he got up and entered the city again. The following day, he left with Barnabas for Derbe. This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. This is definitely not boring stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Man, what a history. What a amazing thing that is happening to Paul and Barnabas here. I mean, I can't imagine like going somewhere and preaching and then someone like trying to offer sacrifices as if you were a god. Whew. Okay, so this again, just to summarize, this was Paul and Barnabas. They're continuing their mission in Iconia, Lystra, and Derbe. While performing a miraculous cure in Lystra, they are misidentified as Greek gods. Okay, so our reflection. Think about the humor associated with this misidentification of Paul and Barnabas. What was the scene like? Oh my goodness. Could you kind of picture that as I was reading it? The scene was chaos. Wow. Yeah. But, we need to think about times when we're putting anybody up on a pedestal over our God. So, okay, here's our prayer. The missionaries, Paul and Barnabas, spoke boldly in proclaiming the Christian faith. And we want to pray for that same sense of boldness. So, Lord, give us your boldness as we proclaim our faith, both in words and actions today. I think that's a good prayer. And then our action step, exhibit Paul's spirit by getting up and moving on to the next challenge when we face personal adversity. Oh my goodness, I think we all need to hear that. Exhibit Paul's spirit by getting up and moving on to the next challenge when facing personal adversity. Okay, so let's close with a prayer. I just love this prayer for spiritual revival, so I'm going to read it again. This is from Sir Francis Drake, and he lived from 1540 to 1596. Disturb us, Lord, when we are too well pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we have dreamed too little, when we arrived safely because we sailed too close to the shore. Disturb us, Lord, when the abundance of things we possess, we have lost our thirst for the waters of life. Having fallen in love with life, we have ceased to dream of eternity. And in our efforts to build a new earth, we have allowed our vision of the new heaven to dim. Disturb us, Lord, to dare more boldly, to venture on wider seas where storms will show your mastery, where losing sight of land we shall find the stars. We ask you to push back the horizons of our hopes and to push into the future in strength, courage, hope, and love. Well, I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday.